Think about where your vision could go with the right people supporting it. What if the right partnerships could take your mission further? But how do you identify who to share your vision with, and what does it take to build the kinds of relationships that keep the momentum going? Too many leaders find themselves navigating it alone, even when they know collaboration could lighten the load and broaden their reach. But the truth is, not every collaboration moves you in the right direction. It doesn't always move you forward. Misaligned efforts can drain your time, drain your energy, and waste them both, leaving you with more to manage and less progress. And for those who aim high, time is the most valuable resource. It's the last of Design 2025 Lead, Build, Thrive, five-part series designed for changemakers like you who are ready to shape the next year with a different approach. Today's episode walks you through the structure, the purpose, and intention that make collaborations thrive. I'm going to share with you, my friend, five different tips on identifying the right collaborators and shaping a relationship that truly supports your mission. And remember, there's still time for you to join our last fireside chat where we're going to go a little bit deeper into the conversation, unpack your unique situations, and make space for your questions. We've been having the best of times, so be sure to join us. You can register over at media.feliciafordandco.com/events. Let's go. Welcome to Impact Innovators with Felicia Ford, where we dive into the strategies that empower changemaker brands to leave a lasting legacy. Think of this podcast as your audio playbook for meaningful action. What's possible when thought leaders, disruptors, and pioneers align to share their journeys? I'm Felicia Ford, your host, bringing together the brightest minds and the most groundbreaking ideas to help you drive change, navigate through the sticky stuff, and elevate your brand. Whether you're tackling funding hurdles, looking for growth strategies, or seeking the perfect balance between profit and purpose, we've got you covered. Stay tuned and be a part of a movement that's setting new benchmarks in how we think about progress, community, and doing. Let's innovate, impact, and inspire. All right, friends. So let's look at why strategic partnerships, why strategic collaborations matter. If there's one thing I've learned, it's that you can't do big things alone. Now, if you know me, you know that I have a high output. I have a high productivity level, but there came a time where I hit a wall. Whether you're leading a nonprofit, running a social enterprise, or growing a small business, leading a team, you know that community is the lifeline to long-term success, long-term sustainability, and quite frankly, not losing your mind. They give you access to resources, to ideas, you get feedback and other perspectives. And this all contributes to you being able to take your mission further than anything that you could achieve by yourself. And, this is going to look differently for everyone. But if we considered what does it look like to identify the voices, the teams, the initiatives, the people that align with your mission and bring mutual value, the things that we're going to talk about today, I'm sharing from, my perspectives and what I've seen in some of my clients' work and what's worked well for them across organizations and both organizations and community. So, consider this. And if it applies to your situation, I'd love to hear from you and, what you're taking away. If you can adapt it in ways that serve you, then again, I'd love to hear how that works for you. But we're going to start with tip number one. And this might seem like a given, but we're going to talk about it anyway. All right. Purpose-driven collaborations. The most effective collaborations, in my experience, have been purpose built, right? We are starting with clarity around why this connection matters. And sometimes it's intentional. Sometimes you identify someone or an organization and you're like, I want to work with them. And then you might find yourself in a pitch situation. But then other times you're networking and you meet someone, you find out more about what they do and how they're serving, and you come together and you're like, oh, there's something here. Or someone else might do the connecting. I am known for being a connector, okay? And, we know, I'm sure we're all far enough into our work and into our careers or into our businesses where we know our mission, we understand our team strengths, we understand our own strengths, we understand the strengths that we have. And so there's not going to be like a conflict of considering what we might need from an outside partner. But I'm going to give you three questions to think about. Number one, does this potential partner, collaborator share core values with my brand? Do they bring a strength or a resource that complements my own and or your own? And what mutual goals can you work toward that bring substance to the collaboration? I am forever and always going to use this example that I'm about to share with you as far as National Black Girl Month goes. Dr. Akeisha Fry Brown and I were introduced by one of her former students, CJ from the National Urban League, who attended one of the meetings that I was hosting for a coalition that I was starting, and it kind of fizzled out, but we'll talk about that on another day. But he recognized that both of us had similar messaging in how and what we were doing. And Dr. Akeisha's research on the mediated images of Black women and my research on truancy identifying Black girls as um, the most identified for being disciplined in this particular school district, there was an intersection there. And from that, I won't go into everything, but you can go back to episodes 2 and 3 and probably many more where I reference what happens and how it happened, how National Black Girl Month came to be. So when both sides are aligned with a clear purpose, collaborations can create momentum, and you can create something. Now, I will say neither Dr. Akeisha or myself, neither of us thought like, hey, let's jump into this. It was just something that kind of evolved. And I will say that I even learned a lesson from that. Um, we could have written our paper, Silent Dangers of Black Girls in Education, and stopped there. But we were like, there's more here. There's more to come. There's more to say. There's more to share. There's more to get out into the world. Now, we're going to move on to tip number 2, structuring your collaborations for progress. Who likes meetings? I wish I could see your hands or your facial expressions because I know no one likes meetings for the purpose of meeting, right? But when we have a defined purpose, when we have a structure for this collaboration, for this potential, partnership, then we can create a framework that allows both sides to contribute and stay aligned. Now, here's something to consider when you are considering, like, okay, I found someone or I found an organization or I found a brand that I really want to approach. You want to take a look at, who's going to be responsible for what. And this just helps you to prep the conversation for, when you are actually speaking to the next person in charge about potentially working together. Think about roles, think about responsibilities. You want to know who is going to be responsible for what. And I say, establishing boundaries also goes along with that. So communication, how frequently will we communicate? How or what method will we communicate with? Okay, so these are things to consider. You also want to consider, how frequently do you check in? What does feedback look like? Whether that's monthly, biweekly, quarterly, you want to track your progress so that you are, moving towards your goal and really valuing each other's times and each other's commitment in what you're doing. For example, one of my um, alumni groups created an accountability partner type situation. And we were meeting every other week for the time that we were in this program. It was for 12 weeks. It seemed like a very long time. And one of the people from my accountability group was like, Felicia, I'd like to keep this going. And I was like, of course, I'd love to. And unfortunately, for I would say both of us, my schedule didn't allow me to continue meeting every other week. So I could only do once a month. But with the fireside chats that I'm offering with what we're doing here with Design 2025, we're meeting every 2 weeks for an hour, but I could do that for this short period of time, right? So I was very clear with Renee, that's my accountability partner, very clear with Renee. Renee's name you've heard before. She's also in a previous episode. And then I've also been very clear with those who are participating in the fireside chats. This is the time that I've allotted for you to show up and for us to have conversations around what these episodes bring up for you and in what direction you want to go and give. But the gist of this is that structure really just ensures that both parties are aligned and you can move forward with intention when you both have expressed your expectations, right? So it's not about really, having these rigid in the box expectations, but it's just clarity that supports your goals for even coming together and doing a thing. Let's move on to tip number 3, that strategic collaborations can contribute to you improving your culture or shifting your culture, but also to building internal teams. So we don't want to think about collaboration just in the lens of it being an external partnership. We could also consider it for building a team. And that means bringing on people who, of course, have the necessary skill sets that you're looking for, but those who also believe in your mission and support your mission. I don't know about you, but I can think of a time or two when I have had a job or been in a position where just wasn't fun anymore. And I really didn't feel like it was like hard. I'm one of those people, if something isn't aligned with, my heart, uh, when I worked in corporate America and it was about specific numbers, I did that for a couple of months and I was like, yeah, this doesn't feel good at all. I need to do something else. I still did my job, but I didn't feel good about it. And for me, that's something that's very important. But the right team members can become collaborators who strengthen your culture, and then they're going to align with the goals that you're working toward. And I have to say, for me right now, for example, my operations manager for Mira has been incredible in a very short period of time because we've worked together before, but we had conversations, and then very quickly she was back with me. And it's because, we have some aligned values, and then we have obviously things that are aligned with our vision. And she believes in the vision and she knows my work. She knows my expectations. She knows what I would likely decide upon. And then she can share with the rest of the team what that can look like. So if you're considering, if or when adding team members would be good for you as a part of your collaboration strategy, you want to look for people whose strengths complement existing skills on your team so that you can, create a well-rounded group. And of course, you want to also find people who can um, fill in some gaps for you. But then you also know that you need to provide them with the structure, the training, the SOPs to say, this is what we're looking for, and this is what we need. You want to make sure that those people, and I know we all know about hiring, or maybe you don't. Maybe you're a solopreneur. Maybe you are a nonprofit and you're considering this, but we forget about the soft skills and really go in on the hard skills. If someone is coachable or, they're excited to learn, the hard skills come easy. It's really the soft skills that I personally focus on the most. So thinking about core mission, thinking about values, making sure that those people are committed to your long-term vision, because that will, bring in something that you can't bottle up. That brings in will, it brings in belief, it brings in, taking initiative, it brings in a spirit of collaboration. So I would say third, you want to reflect on your leadership style and cultural fit, since these are things that influence, how seamlessly new hires, whether they're a contractor or I can't use hire for contractor, but whether new team members coming on can really integrate into what you're doing and contribute to what you're doing. Okay, so building a team, I would say, with intention and in mind, or keeping in mind that you want people who want to collaborate with you, it really creates this foundation of trust and this foundation of mutual respect that can enhance both, I would say, like your internal operations and your external partnerships. You want people who can easily be an extension of you. And again, I am so grateful to have a wonderful team, both Famira, Ricky, and Desiree, who've all been incredible, and they understand what we're doing, how we're doing it, and what we value and what we put first. So let's move on, my friends, to tip number 4. I wanted you to think about your leadership style and your organizational culture as it relates to developing collaborations. This is an often, I would think, overlooked part of effective collaborations because how often do we say, "Hey, friend, do you have a disc?" What's what is it? The Myers-Briggs personality type. What's your hex? One thing that I've been seeing a lot on social media is people talking about human design. I've not done that. It doesn't align with my faith beliefs, but I don't mind a psychology theory based personality test. So I think that when you understand the role of leadership style and organizational culture in effective collaboration development or your collaboration strategy, you can look at this a lot differently. And I hope that this brings some, aha moments for you because I would say, and I'll use myself as an example in a second, but leaders with different approaches bring very different, very distinct energy to a collaboration, right? So someone who's direct and assertive may prefer a structured, goal-oriented collaboration, while people who, really like to talk a lot, I would say like a facilitative leader, they might seek a more organic approach that allows for shared ownership. I am not a person who likes a lot of meetings because I like to do and I like to get things done. I'm an asynchronous learner, right? I'm like, okay, we're gonna meet once and we've got our marching orders. We're gonna go do it and then it's gonna be done. But I love the types of meetings that this is why I say I'm a blend, because I love the types of meetings where we brainstorm, where we come up with a plan, and then again we have our marching orders. We go in, we do what we have, we share feedback, and we're done. Likewise, organizational culture influences the type of collaboration that can be successful. So, if you have an organization that's driven by innovation, driven by creativity, driven by the inclusion of technology and automations, right? They're going to be drawn to other organizations or creatives or whomever that are agile, that, can be a creative partner. And a mission focused team may look for others who are as deeply committed to a similar cause. But that doesn't mean that, nonprofits and for profits can't come together and form some relationships. Okay. I would say, as an example, one of my former clients, and this was a partnership that was developed way before I came along, but they have a partnership with a local nonprofit that supports special needs people. And that's because the owner of the for profit, my former client, and the, I would say, leadership team of the nonprofit, they are friends. connected. And I don't know how deep we're friends, so I can't say that completely, but I'm just giving that as an example. You can do two very separate things, two very different things. You can, have different tax designations, but still want to be supportive and contributing to one another's missions. All right. So I want you to consider that, reflecting on your leadership style, your organizational culture, it can help you to enter collaborations with a better understanding of how you and your collaborators can potentially work together. All right. Our last tip for today is on community building as a collaboration. So I will say that when I decided to create this year's issue of Strategic Edge Power Moves for Businesses and Nonprofits, my magazine, I considered first, if I wanted to do it. Not even gonna kid you there, friend. Number two, I thought about, do I have something to say? Right. Number three, I thought, who else would want to contribute to this? But I would say number four, what message are we going to convey? And then number five, what will this mean for, I'm going to say, my community? And that's dual. That's my uh, online community and my current clients, my former clients, those who are on my email community, but also those who I see. Like where I live, I've gone out to a new, and I'm using air quotes here, town center. And one of my friends was with me at lunch, and she said, these businesses were promised this, and this, and everyone's struggling. So a bunch of new businesses, a great restaurants, right? Um, Great atmosphere, great decor, and I would say semi upscale to upscale. And the businesses are suffering because there's not a lot of foot traffic. There's a lot of things that aren't happening that they potentially thought was going to happen when they decided to go there. And so I really wanted to think about, well, how can I help my people? Lots of people can be my people, okay? But how can I help my people in a simplistic way, but a profound way? And so that's really how the magazine was birthed in the first place. And so I'm continuing with the spirit of creating the magazine. And so this issue is specifically featuring Black owned, Black founded, Black led organizations and includes contributors that, of course, aren't me. And so I thought about what we were going to face in the second half of the year as a country. I thought about that as a change maker because of, whatever the federal budget is going to be, it's going to highly affect those who work in the mental health space. It's going to affect those who depend on Medicaid funding for an insurance reimbursement. And I also thought about, the election, and by now we've voted. There's likely been a decision, and what will it mean for communities, so smaller segments of us, whether a primary party's candidate wins or not, right? And so I think that if we come up with an ideal of a model for how meaningful, mission-driven communities can emerge from a shared purpose, and then we replicate that, right, in our work, then it makes it easier to create spaces that bring together these aligned people and aligned brands for mutual benefit. And I know I said a lot to get there, but that's the simplistic piece here, friend. It's, if we think about how we can replicate a model for meaningful, mission-driven communities that have a shared purpose, how can we create spaces that bring together these aligned groups for mutual benefit? Okay, because when collaborations align with community building goals, then they become spaces where trust is built, where there's a shared purpose, where there's actual progress, where there's a sense of belonging, where there's, I hate to use the generic solutions, but there are solutions, there are answers to things. All right. So, friend, here's your prompt for this episode. Consider reflecting on your brand's needs, and then think about like who is one or up to three potential collaborators that could align with your mission. And then think about if you want to reach out and start a conversation around potential shared goals and how you might support one another. Now, I'm not going to tell you how to do that because I'm sure you know how to do that. But as we close this Design 2025 series, I want you to remember to join me and the rest of my friends at the Fireside Chat this Thursday to discuss your plans, and I'll answer your questions. You again can head over to media.feliciafordandco.com/events to sign up. It's free registration. It has been such an honor. I can't tell you how much I have enjoyed these fireside chats, just really talking to everyone in an unstructured environment. It's like I'm in the hot seat and I love it because, some of the feedback that I've been receiving has been, oh, this was spot on. Oh, this has helped me. Oh, this has been perfect. And it's just, you come as you are. There isn't a presentation. It's me. We might have some reflection on the week's episode or the 2 weeks of episodes, and then they just ask their questions and then I answer them. And I love it because we are building community. Okay. So if this episode sparks some ideas for you, I really ask that you help me by sharing it with them. And I would be remiss if I didn't say this other exciting thing. So tomorrow, my friends, the new golden hour edition of Strategic Edge Power Moves for Businesses and Nonprofits is released. Okay, this issue is packed with over 20 contributors sharing their experiences, their strategies, and talking about their businesses, their beginnings, their middles, how they can help and support you. And this is another example where I have decided that I wanted to build and create community and support the building and creating of others' communities. So please head over to media.feliciafordandco.com/power moves, and you can join the waitlist. And as soon as it's available, it will be in your inbox in the morning. All right. On the next episode, I'll be sitting down with Nicole Murphy from Barter Black, who is going to be our first guest interview from the magazine features. You don't want to miss this one. It is going to be so good. Hey, Changemaker, real quick before you go, if today's episode helped you in some way, the best way to thank me is to head over to Apple Podcasts, subscribe to the channel, and leave a review. I'd also love to connect with you over on social. You can find me at Friends Call Me Fee. Until next time, keep changing the game.